Chief Operating Officer for Mission Roll Call. With us, we've got two faces. Normally, we only have one, which is Jim Whaley. And I know you probably get tired of looking at him just like I do. But Jim, thank you so much for being here, boss. Also, we have probably the person that helps the organization run appropriately, which is Valerie Bridgham. She is the operations manager for me, and she really keeps me on the straight path. First off, where are you two at right now?
Yeah, we're at an undisclosed location. We didn't want anybody to know. Actually, we're both attending the Military Influencers Conference here in Atlanta, Georgia, which has thousands of people attending and hundreds of different organizations, which is great for us because we're meeting other organizations, like-minded veterans and their families. I think the important thing, at least what's resonated with me during this 3 or 4 day event, is that there's a great need for us to continue to do what we're doing here at Mission Roll Call, and that is amplifying voices and bringing those voices together for meaningful impact. Everybody is struggling with that right now, and there's a lot of concern about healthcare, suicide, homelessness, access to healthcare. All of those subjects are resonating with everybody, but our discussions with them is they really value what we're doing now. I mean,
yeah. So we've made a lot of really good connections, been able to reconnect with other organizations that we've met at other events, and through the internet, are actually just putting a face to the name. So yeah, it's been a great week.
That's great. Yeah. And for those, for the VSOs are out there, veteran support organizations, the nonprofits, Valerie's probably going to be one of the first folks that you speak to from our organization. If it's not her, it's obviously Nate, which helps us run this amazing podcast and town hall. So as an organization, we got really good people out to support you and make you. So for all the VSOs, MPOs, thank you for trusting us. And more importantly, thank you for trusting Valerie and them. So I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more from you guys. But we got to do the administrative thing as always, right at the start of this thing. I know you guys love it, so we're going to kind of go through this real quick. For everybody that's listening, thank you for being here so much. We can't do this without you, as we've talked about before in the past. To amplify your voices, we got to have them, right? So the team will put up some links for you guys. Join the community and be part of it. We talk a lot about your voice is important because it helps us amplify the things that you want us to amplify. And imagine generations before us, if they had not fought for us, we would not be where we are now and have the benefits that we have now. And we need you to continue that. And whether you're a veteran, you're a family member, or a supporter, all three matter. And trust us, decision makers want all three. Our next one of these town halls is going to be August 22nd at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to put it on whatever platform social that we have, and also our website. So we'll make sure you guys are notified through email and all that. At the beginning of the month, we put these surveys out, right? And it's important. We really want you guys to take these surveys, and we need to figure out a way internally through our process and the teams working on this to make sure that but just know this. At the first of every month, we're putting the new survey out for you guys to take. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today and why it really matters for you to do that. Okay, so guys, Jim and Valerie, go ahead. Go ahead, Valerie.
Can you redo the date and say October?
Yeah, okay. October 22nd at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. CST. See, what did I tell you guys? This is why she's here. She keeps me straight.
In August, we got a long wait, man.
Yeah, she's the pulse, right? Like, so she's the vein. We're just kind of running through the hallways, running amok, if you will. Okay, so for you two, really interested on Military Influence Conference, right? We had attended this last year. Valerie got an opportunity to go. Brittany was there with her as well, the content strategy director. Interested from y'all's perspective on what you guys are seeing this time. Valerie, is it the same as last year? Is the energy different from the event?
The energy is amazing. So you go to these conferences, this one in particular, you're meeting a lot of people, but they're all focused on helping veterans, families, service members. Like, we're all trying to do great work. So it's really learning how we can all collaborate to work together for a better good. So yes, the energy is amazing. Jim and I think this is the most time we spent together because we've both been like trying to get the most out of the sessions, walking around, doing meet and greet, meeting other people. So yeah, it's been very busy, but amazing.
Yeah, that's great. I know Jim. Oh, go ahead.
I couldn't agree more. I think that the other thing I get out of it is the range of discussions, right? I mean, we've talked everything from starting a business, entrepreneurial spirit, to how do you really access healthcare, in a variety of different ways. Things like people starting a business that's niche business, mentorship programs, leadership programs, how AI is influencing podcasts, all
Yeah.
kinds of different subjects that I think is really powerful and meaningful, and people sharing ideas. And so it's a lot of fun meeting different people from different walks of life. Some of the organizations have been around for a couple of years, some just started. So it's a good way for us to learn from each other.
Yeah, and I love that last statement. And first off, thank you both for taking time. Obviously, you're, I think, connected to Valerie's phone through her personal hotspot, so I appreciate that.
Right.
But I think your last statement, Jim, is like the most important out of this whole piece. Is that, you know, part of the reason that we're there is to get the ground truth from not only from veterans but also the VSOs and MPOs that are out doing the work, right? So thank you both for doing that. We're looking forward to getting all that data back from you guys. We want full notes, okay, from both of you. Okay, boss, you can't make Valerie do all the work too. Okay, yeah, pull a 3x5 card out.
I got my cool little notebook and I'm writing notes down.
I was waiting for you to pull a 3x5 card out and go, oh, I got plenty. Okay, that 3x5 card is not keeping all the notes, Jim. Okay, so we got a lot to talk about today. And then for those that are in here, selfless plug, there's comments. So whatever channel you're on, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever you're watching this on right now, you can make comments, you can ask questions. We want your questions, okay? We're going to actually talk about later that a question that was asked that helped us move towards a direction on something that was very important. So we need to know your questions. Ask them. Use it. The team will post those up if needed. But I want to get into last month's survey results as kind of the first thing. So we'll have Nate and them pull this up. So last month, Jim, you know, we had the survey out. It was kind of a twofold. One was the priorities for the organization, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a second. But the second part of it was really about traumatic brain injury. That survey had 2,400 respondents in total that went through it. We talked a little bit about care that feels disconnected in that, what that poll looks like. We talked about basically the issue of continuity of care. We talked about mental health on the line related to TBI, right? Understanding that folks with TBI often have mental health challenges that they're working through. So there's a little bit of connectivity that we're learning from this. We talked about veterans want options for their care, right? And that doesn't mean that VA is not doing a great job, but there's some veterans that don't have access or aren't eligible for the VA. So, you know, veterans, again, want it. So from your perspective, Jim, based on this discussion, based on TBI, what are your thoughts about the survey results from last month and really kind of the importance of continuity of care and many of these things that we talked about with TBI?
Yeah, well, if I remember correctly, I think it's nearly 74% of those that took the survey said they felt disconnected in that process of care, right? So in some cases, I remember a comment, somebody saying, I felt like my own case manager, right? So there's a challenge, I think, in this process of having continuity of care from the time you're in service to the time you're out of service. And it's an interesting topic because it came up yesterday. We had the VA secretary here, Doug Collins. And one of the things he talked about was the first time a memorandum of understanding and agreement between the Department of War and the Department of Veterans Affairs to make sure that we're not waiting years and months of somebody getting out of service to plug into the VA. And you know as well as I do, if you've had a TBI, and in many cases you don't even know you've had the TBI, but you're suffering from forgetfulness, anger issues, any number of the above and below. So it's just a way for you to get that care early on and tracked and made sure that somebody is passing you along in the process, that you're getting that continuity of care. You have that break in that care, and that's when bad things happen. That's when you become isolated. That's when you lose your job. That's when you have problems at home. You're disconnected from your friends and you become isolated. And then that's that slippery slope that we talk about. So I think from what we're finding is that this is vital, and veterans want to get that continuity care in a variety of ways, either going through a traditional VA route, or in some cases, you don't even are eligible for the VA, right? You don't have a percentage of disability. So how are you getting that care? And so that was some of the discussions that we've been having as a group, right? And being able to get that care digitally, getting somebody to talk to you. And that's why we were interested in what MyRx is doing and other organizations. That's a big topic down here. In fact, I had a good conversation with Joe Brennan, CEO of Avalon. And, you know, the number of people that Avalon and all the organizations that fall under that are serving in veterans, he knows that there's hundreds of thousands of veterans and people outside of the veteran community that have TBI that are not being treated. And so it's a huge problem, not only for the veteran community, but for the community as large. And, you know, hopefully there'll be some collaborative discussions between major sports teams, right, that have a lot of concussions, construction fields and things like that, and also the military. So I think there's a lot of work there being done, but thank God, great scientists working on ways to mitigate this, to put in barriers to help people.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no,
but
no,
we're all passionate about that.
it's great. Well, it's what we ask you to do for us as veterans is to say all that, right? So don't, we want you to talk like that. I think one of the pieces that I gleaned from that, from my perspective, Jim, is really that there's veterans that haven't even been diagnosed with TBI yet because they haven't had an opportunity. And that's part of what we've gleaned from the survey. I mean, there's a lot with the continuity of care and all that, but there's also this part where, hey man, we've got to make the ability to identify TBI for veterans a priority, to make sure that they are seeking the help that they need, because we know it leads into mental health.
Yeah, and one point I would make on that too, Ray, is that the title itself, traumatic brain injury, indicates or leads you to believe that it is a traumatic thing that happened to you to get the brain injury. And that's not what traumatic means. It means the damage to your brain is traumatic. Doesn't mean that you got it through a traumatic process. It could be a series of small concussions. It could have been one major concussion. It could be a series of things that happened as a youth, and then again later in life that doubles the impact. So there's so much study in that field and so many unknowns. I think it's important for anyone listening to understand that you could have TBI, not know it.
Right.
Loved ones could have it. And so that's why I think it's so important. And, you know, I love the work that Avalon is doing and other organizations and the passion they have around it and the impact they're making.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we had a great question already pop in. We can see Madison wrote, Jim, is the government shutting down? That was actually one of the notes I have here. So I'm going to go ahead and skip to that because this is a reality for all veterans that are watching this and their families right now. So what seems like it's going to happen is, you know, often in DC, Congress is kind of having a problem guaranteeing the government's going to stay open past the end of the month. There's a lot of programs that affect veterans that you and I and the rest of the team are focused on to make sure they get, that are going to go unfunded if Congress can't figure this out. I'm really interested to get your thoughts on this, with an understanding that veteran care should not be one of them that suffers because we can't figure this out. And I'd love to push this over to you for your thoughts.
I'm going to let Val go first. Just because she's really excited about doing this. And
look at her face. You're like, oh, you picked
no,
the
I'll
hardest
take it.
one.
I'm just kidding.
I did find, so Xterra has service dogs. So right now I have yellow lab hair all over me because I had to re-energize before I came and got on camera. That's how I got like my game face on, as I went and petted some puppies.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So over to you.
Yeah. Well, she commented, and those labs were irresistible. Yeah, you know, in a perfect world, we would understand that there's certain line items, there's certain things that our government and elected officials should automatically be funded. It shouldn't even be on the docket for not funding, right? And that's one of these is VA healthcare. I mean, you think about the billions of dollars that are spent on healthcare, and then we're just going to take a break. And you're going to lose people in that process because they're not going to get the health care they need, or they're not going to get the funding that they need. And that's that's unbelievable. It's a tragedy. And we're allowing politics to get into what's right. And I'm not going to pretend to understand all the undercurrents of our political system, but I think it's suffice to say that the majority of Americans are not happy with this kind of an outcome. And we have to do better as a nation to make sure that our veteran communities and other communities, but those especially that have served their country and now need this care, are getting the care that they need. Some of them are relying on that care. They don't have the resources to just go somewhere else. They don't have the funding to do something else. And this is a commitment, right? I mean, when we were in the service and we're doing our job, we didn't just come into work one day and say, you know what, I'm taking a couple days off because I don't feel like working right now. I don't feel like flying the helicopter. I don't feel like, rappelling out of something. I don't feel like jumping out of something. I'm just not going to do it. Right. So there's a commitment. It's a handshake. We're going to take care of veterans and their families. And it's unfortunate we have to do this. The good news here is, I think with anything bad or anything that is difficult to do, what does it do? It brings people together. I mean, you think about all the things you did when you were going through basic and different things that you did in the military, and that sense of camaraderie to overcome obstacles brings you together. And I think that's what happens when this occurs. VSOs come together, letters are sent, we combine letters, we combine signatures, we send that forward, and we let our voices be known. And that's why it's so vital for people that are listening, and as we cascade this message out, to understand that your voice does matter. And as we multiply and amplify that voice, it's heard. And Congress are elected officials, and they react to the voices of those that vote them or out of office. So we're a powerful voting bloc when you think of 18 million veterans plus family members and other people that are voting in those homes. That's a large amount of people. So take those polls, let your voices be heard, and don't hesitate calling Congress or Senate. It's easy to do. You go to their websites, and we can be helpful showing people how to do that as well.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks for that. I think you hit on some really key points there, both of you. Valerie with the lab talk, which was great, Valerie. Now all they do is go dog and play with it,
no
right?
one was listening at all after that.
All people could see was dogs running by. The bottom line: this is a serious conversation. The nation made a promise. You said this before, Jim. The nation made a promise when we send veterans off to do their job, right? And we should not be holding things back from those that have given so much, right, of their life and their time to protect the freedoms and liberties that we have. Aqua, I see your question. We're definitely going to get to that. Just so you know, that's one of the other things we're going to talk about a little bit about TBI research. Jim, I want to talk a little bit about the VA expanded community care. We're not going to get too in depth for this. It's more kind of like an informational for anybody that's listening. Normally you see your primary care, they're going to send you off to a specialist, and normally you get 90 to 180 days. And that's basically all you get. And anybody who's gone through that process, it's like every 90 days or 120 days, you're like going back and forth, right? You got to go back in and say, hey man, the bump on my leg's still there. I need to go see such and such. The good news is that the VA's changed that. They're now pushing it out for 30 specialties, is now pushed out for a full year. So I know in my case, for some of the stuff that I have, this is like, thank you, right? The amount of times that I'm just going back and then scheduling an appointment to hopefully get to that end state. That's going to be a huge part of where we're going. Jim, what kind of impact do you see this having on veterans, their families as well, with the VA kind of making this really good decision on the community care referrals and pushing them out to a year?
Yeah, that's a great question. And Valerie and I were together when the VA secretary was here talking about this, and he made this part of his key talking points to this group, and the audience stood up when he mentioned this, that now we have 12 months versus back and forth every 30 or 60 days trying to get the appointment that you need. Some of these things, I am absolutely thrilled that that's happening, because that's going to fundamentally change it for a lot of people. But we knew this was a problem a long time. It has taken way too long to get to this point to finally get this approved. And so I think the energy we're seeing around these things, and now things are starting to happen with Secretary Collins and his group, and listening to other organizations and other VSOs. Listen, I've seen Secretary Collins now at so many different events and podcasts and things like that. He's getting out there and talking about it. We may not all agree with priorities. We may not all agree in time frame, but nobody can say he's not being transparent, and he's being reachable and approachable on these subjects. And so having this, I think, will make a big difference. The fact is, the vast majority, we talked about it some time ago, I think it was on the last town hall, the majority of veterans want healthcare when and how and where they need it. And that's like 80% of veterans want that. So access to healthcare is one of the key things that all veterans, family members, caregivers want, need. It should be a priority. And luckily we're seeing some movement there in the positive direction. I don't know if you took anything else from that.
Same, and that was also one of the main topics of the roundtable that I sat on last month, was talking about this access to care and the impact that extending this out for a year is going to have, not only on the individual, but as the system as a whole, eliminating those additional non-necessary appointments. Now you're opening up that time for other people to get in and truly get care. So yeah, all around huge win.
Yeah. No, that's great. I'm interested to just get feedback on that and see kind of what happens over the next couple months as that starts to roll. I just know me personally, it's always easier to know your own experiences with what I have, and just going to the doc. I spend more time going into the doc to then get to the specialty, because this is really about specialty care anyway. So knowing that I have the ability now to extend that out, it's just, to me, that's such a change. Now I'm not scheduling an appointment with my primary care to then schedule an appointment back to the specialty. And sometimes, by the way, the specialty person you're going to is not the same doc. They send you to another, and then now I've got to go through the whole cycle again for them to start to treat me. So this is, to me, this is very changing for the veteran and their families, and it can be really impactful for folks. Valerie, I'm going to put you on the spot just a little bit, because I was going to, this should be easy for you. I'm going to softball it, right? But we talk a lot about the veteran service organizations and the nonprofits that we have inside of the organization, and you get an opportunity to kind of reach out. I've got one in my mind this month that's been really that we just loved working with. But I really actually wanted, now that you're going to be on today, I would love to hear from you. Is there an organization from you that you've talked to over the last couple of last month or so that's kind of like your spotlight VSO or MPO?
I mean, yeah. So there's, on our veteran resource directory, we have a total of 80. But the one we were part of the back to school bash with Operation Honor Rural Salute this past month, and it was an amazing opportunity. Michelle Lang, she's doing awesome things in all these small little towns. She's putting on these great events, just bringing family members, the VA, other resources all together. For one, to help out those veterans and their family members. But also it's just building that community with the other nonprofits and organizations that are out there. So that's been great. I actually saw a couple more of those organizations here today, and was able to put a face and name, actually meet them. So it was great. So that's my highlight for this month.
That's great. So the good part is, Val, you get to do this every month moving forward. We start having you guys come on and talk about this. So congratulations. All of a sudden the screen fades black.
Did I mention I don't have internet at home?
Well, all I can say is that your phone's working wonderfully, so I'm sure you can figure that out, right? I will say, Val, one of the others that because there's so many organizations, right? We've done so many things this month. The other one I'd like to highlight is Mountain Valor. We talk a lot inside of Mission Roll Call about this idea of like the underserved veteran, right? Like it's really, and look, no, I'm not saying despairingly to y'all that live in the city, right? And you're local to VAs, but there's a lot of veterans, man, that are out and they're away from what I would call true healthcare, VA or other organizations, even community care, to see the support. And our connection with Mountain Valor has been a little bit of a change. I mean, it's good to see these small organizations with just the impact that she's having in the mountains there of Virginia, focusing on veterans, and then also seeing the community come up. So we had Jason Funtner, he's our development manager. He went, hung out with them. We got lucky enough, we're humbled as an organization to be part of connecting her with another organization that obviously she got a van to help her take veterans to and from their care. So
that was so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we do. Is like, if there's anything better, we would just all say we're a network. Mission Roll Call wants to be a network to schedule people. So selfless plug. You heard Valerie talk about it. Also saw the staff put the link in there. If you know a VSO or a nonprofit organization that has supported you as a veteran, they've done good things, we want you to go to that link and submit them. If you are a VSO or an NPO, we want you on our list. Okay. There's a little bit of a vetting process that we'll go through, but trust us, we're positive you're out there doing the right thing. At the end of the day, it's one team, one mission, right? Veterans and their families. So we'll continue to go. Okay. The next thing we want to talk about is this will be the last subject for the day. I'll put a twofer in here. Digital tools for wellness. Jim, you talked a little bit about MyRx Access, so we're not going to beat that too much.
Right.
This chat for you, for those of you that are watching right now, right? You got two thumbs. Please ask us questions, right? Because it's vital. This was actually a question. We got a question in chat from somebody that said, hey, you guys keep talking about VA care, but I'm a veteran and I'm not eligible for VA care. Do you care about us? Right? Like that is what a powerful question to ask. So thank you for asking that. We immediately got off the call and started our process of researching and trying to figure out, okay, how do we now support this veteran? And oh, by the way, there's 9 million plus, probably more than that don't have access to VA care. Okay, this is something we want to look at. So immediately we polled or we surveyed. That survey came back. Basically, our question was something in the thing with, hey, if you're a veteran or someone lives in a household, would you be likely to use an online portal to manage VA or community care appointments, right? And to get the stuff that you need. 74% said yes. That's all Jim Whaley needed to say, go out and make something happen. We went out. We obviously connected with a couple of organizations, came back with MyRx Access. I'd asked the staff to post that up in the chat here so you guys see it. There's no hitch. There's no gimmicks here, right? This is us providing something to you that if you are not going through the VA, or maybe even if you are, but for those that don't have VA care, healthcare, this is a great opportunity for you guys. And we went through the process with us. Jim, do you got anything, like any thoughts on that, kind of that relationship and how important it is for folks to have access to what they need online?
Hey, at the end of the day, we're all cut from the same cloth. We all served our country. We all did it at different levels and different branches and different MOSs and all of that. So we want to make sure that everyone, regardless if they're getting VA healthcare or even eligible for that, is getting the access that they need. The fact is that digital medicine is now, with the power of AI and just the expanse that we've had technologically, is going to be a game changer for people getting healthcare quicker, faster, and more personalized. And so we need to embrace that. And we're going to do our due diligence on organizations that are helping with that. We're not getting paid by those organizations. They're not sponsors of ours. We just want to make sure that veterans are getting access and are making their own decisions on how they're getting health care and when and how they're getting it. I mean, there's sometimes you need to go in and see a doctor, and there's sometimes you just need to talk to somebody about something so you get on the right path and you kind of mitigate it before it becomes a major issue. And so we think this is important, just as all of us use and get news and thumb through our phone on getting access to our favorite sport teams and people that we follow or podcasts that we want to listen to. It's just as important for us to have that same capability when it comes to healthcare, and that includes mental health. We know in some cases that the time frame from when somebody has asked for help for mental health issues and the time they get it is way too long. It can't be days, it can't be weeks and months. It's got to be hours. We got to make sure we get that, and that's why we got to take care of each other in this. And we can't rely on some holistic system that's just going to drop from the sky like manna. We have to make sure that we share this information with each other. And that's why I'm so excited about the work that Val's doing on the resource directory. It gives people the opportunity to say, okay, these are organizations I can reach out to help me find the right way. We're not asking those resource directory organizations to sponsor us. We do it for free. We do podcasts for them for free. We want to make sure that our community is getting knowledge, and knowledge is power. It empowers you to make good decisions. And access to healthcare is a fundamental right. And we have to make sure that our brothers and sisters are getting that.
Great. So Heather just wrote, so Heather, we're going to post up. Thank you so much for the question. Thank you for being here as well. And for everybody that's listening today, Heather just asked, how do I get my organization in there? The team in the background, I'm watching. If you guys see me looking to the right, I'm not playing with the lab, by the way. I wish I was, but realistically, I'm looking at the questions you guys are asking to see what's popping up. But they have the link. They're going to post it for the Veteran Resource Directory. Again, that way that you can go and post it there. So we'd love to have you join it. One thing I want to add for both of you guys on the VRD, I think the power of this is it's not us going out finding these MPOs and VSOs. It is Val going and sending notes and messages. But like part of this for me is I learned a long time ago that doers are going to do things, right? And if I send them a link and they actually come and they actually fill out the documentation and submit, they want to help.
Yeah.
They want to help. And we've seen pretty clearly those that don't come and don't fill it out, and no hard feelings. We get it. And some are overburdened. They can't take anymore. So they only have what they have. But you can guarantee the ones that are on that Veteran Resource Directory, they want to help. And I can't wait to see what Val does with this thing as we move into 2026 and beyond. It's going to be amazing. So Val,
just to not toot our own horn, but to toot our own horn, we're the only organization doing that sort of stuff. We're doing this resource directory, and we're not doing it in a way that says, okay, well, now you have to sponsor us. Now you have to do this or do that. You got to go through these hoops and ladders and all this other kind of stuff. We're doing it because we want to connect veterans based on what polling and our conversations are telling us what veterans want and what veterans and their families need. And so that holistic process that embodies what we're doing, I think, makes a big difference.
Yeah, we're truly building a relationship with these organizations because we found out today, like we've talked and we've said over 40,000 VSOs. This week, they've thrown up numbers as large as 73,000 veteran service organizations in this space, all trying to help veteran service members, family members, whatever their niche is. When you're trying to get help, doing a search and finding an organization to help you in a seed that large would be completely overwhelming. So going through having one-stop shop where you can go in, search, find some, or even sending us a message, and then we'll go through that our Veteran Resource Directory and do a link up, because I've had a conversation with a person from that organization and can pass it off and say, hey, will you please help this person? I don't know. Like you guys said, I think it's something that a lot of organizations aren't doing. They want memorandums of understanding and stuff saying you'll talk about us this many times or whatever. And I mean, we're probably going to talk about you. We're going to try to highlight you because we love amplifying other organizations. Yeah. So
yeah. And I would also, I love to say this because everybody knows how humble I am, by the way, is I am selfish because this makes us feel good. Right. At the end of the day, like that's why we're here. That's why we're nonprofits. That's why this is my fourth nonprofit. All the team has been in nonprofits. Like, we love this, helping our brothers and sisters. Like, awesome. Right. So the same thing I used to say about being a dog handler. I got to wake up every day and play with dogs. Come on, help me out here. Right. It's the best thing. Yeah. And the government's paying for it. Thank you. You've made my day.
Case for Val, she's not getting paid for playing with dogs, but she's doing it anyway. Whatever.
And we're also helping other organizations. So there's been several situations where, we find out an organization is doing an event, and we'll reach out to other organizations in that area and say, hey, do you want to come to this event with us? Or can you push it out on your social media? You guys have a link. Let's connect you guys.
And that's Mountain Valor, right? I mean, that's the example of Mountain Valor. Exactly. Like, hey, and these two would have never met. And look, we're not doing anything out of the norm here, man. Like, we just happen to, hey, we know you. Hey, it's the same thing I talk about with like transition of veterans. Anybody who's gone through the job hunt understands one thing. Please just get me in the room. if you could just get the veteran in the room, they're going to do the rest of the work. The hardest part is going through the ATS and all the other processes just to get them in the room so that somebody goes, wow, this person has tangible things that I could utilize, right? The same thing with the nonprofits is the ability. Okay, so we got to get to questions. I know us, man, we love our VSOs and MPOs because the work they're doing is just, it's what drives all of us. The other thing we did last month, Jim talked about a little bit at the beginning, was we got our priorities, and this will be the last thing we talk about here, and we're going to go to questions. So everybody that's listening, type out those questions because we definitely want to answer them. Every year, right around the August timeframe, we send out the poll. We sent that out the same time we did the TBI or the survey. Sorry. We sent that out to the group and we asked, hey, what do you want us to focus on leading into 2026? Right. So that's veterans, that's families and supporters, help to lead us in the direction that you want to see for priorities, because we understand each year it changes. And also we need your experiences to help us make sure that what we're focused on are things that you really need. This year, Jim, we're kind of opening it up now, saying what came back, but suicide prevention, we didn't expect that to leave. We've got a lot of work that we're going to be focusing on here, the back half of this year, leading into next year. We got housing access and homelessness prevention. Again, same thing for 2025, access to care again. The new one is actually service-connected injuries and conditions support. That's TBI, PTS, chronic pain, toxic exposure. So I think somebody asked a question. I'll find it here in a minute. I'm not going to look over here, but somebody had asked about when is there going to be dedicated funding for TBI research and stuff like that? Well, Aqua, guess what? It's on our priority list for next year. So we're going to be focused on it. So thank you for that question. But Jim, I want to throw this over to you. If you could just talk about how important it is to have these priorities. Doesn't mean that's all we're going to focus on, but these are the four that we are all in on to make sure that we're focused. Can you talk a little bit about how that informs and empowers veterans and decision makers?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think at the 20,000 foot level, what separates this organization from other organizations is that our priorities are determined, our azimuth is determined by all of you. So every year at this time, we ask veterans, what's important to you? And then we use that to figure out how we're going to attack those issues. Now, some of those continue from the year before because obviously homelessness and suicide has not gone away. In fact, in some cases, the number's gone up, other places, numbers down. So that, I would imagine, is going to continue to be for some time until we really get those numbers down to zero. So that's the first thing is that this is our priorities based on what you're telling our priority is going to be. I think it's very interesting that this other priority has popped up, but in some ways, now that I've reflected upon it, I'm not surprised by it. Because I think with the recent acts that we've had, more emphasis on exposure to hazardous materials, and we're finding out that some of those things not only affect the service member, but their sons and daughters, right? Their dependents, has multi-generational effects. And so hundreds of thousands of us deployed to different places in the world, and we're exposed to these things, exposed to loud noises, exposed to fuel, and any number of things that now they're finding out has poisoned us. And so that's why people need the health care that they're getting. So, that's why, again, we always come back that your voice is so important, because we can't just assume that Congress and Senate and even people at DA or in the VA are going to do things that are aligned to what really is important. And when we can share this information in a timely fashion, it makes a whole heck of a lot of difference.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Jim. And I think that's the vital part of this, right? We're getting a lot of support, we're getting a lot of activity from veterans, their families, and those, but what we need more, right? And again, it's this is all unbiased. This is all apolitical. We are taking what you're saying based off those. We try not to push you either direction in the survey question either, right? We're just giving you the question. You answer it. We spit it out, and then we're delivering it where it needs to be delivered. And there's a lot that has to go in right now. We're obviously focusing in DC. We have Mike Desmond, like, he's phenomenal, focusing on the advocacy, government affairs with Jim, obviously with you. But that goal is, hopefully here a year, 2 years from now, we really start to to also look at the state level, the city and the county, because we are finding, especially when we just got done with our stuff with homelessness, that a lot of this, it's easy to blame, the government at the top level, but you really start to do some of the research, which is one of the things we're doing. We're learning that you've got to do some stuff at the local level also, because it's not just, the government's responsibility to fix everything. You've got to get these counties, states, and these cities also, and then they've got to learn from each other too. What's working, what's not working, and then also fit it inside of their communities based off what they need. So, Keith, I just wanted to just say real quick, man, I'm sorry for your loss. I saw that your best friend took his own life. We are absolutely focused on mental health. That's part of suicide prevention. The end of this year, we are one of our counterparts, part of the coalition, America's Warrior Partnership, has been doing a phenomenal job doing research on this. Jim and I kind of came into this with understanding what that research is, and then 17 a day versus 22 a day, or whatever number you want to folks want to use. And now we're really focusing heavy on it, right? And I know Mike, Jim, and all the rest of the team, this is important to all of us, because all of us have lost somebody that we serve with, and we shouldn't be. Like we've got to figure this out. So it is our mission. It's our mission this year as we end out the year, and then as we move into next year, to get some answers to focus this. So again, sorry for your loss. Jim, anything else on that at all?
Yeah, two things I would say. First, on the last one, condolences to the loss of your friend. We feel it, brother. We've all lost somebody to this, and it's devastating and never goes away. And there's times in the day or the week that it just pops into your mind and you don't understand why, and you're focused on it. I thought there was an interesting comment that the VA secretary said yesterday, and that was that 60% of all veteran suicides happen to veterans that aren't plugged into the VA. They haven't gone to the VA, they haven't gone to a VSO, so they've been separated. So I think part of I took from that is having these resource directories, getting our arms around veterans early on in the process is so important, so key. The second item is around the advocacy piece. And Mike Desmond shared this with me some weeks ago. And to me, it was, that is the litmus test. That is the key indicator that we're doing the right thing. And that is that when Congress, Senate, House Veterans Affairs Committee, the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, HVAC and SVAC, respectfully, ask other organizations, they ask them, what does your organization think about this bill? When they come and talk to us, they ask us, what do veterans think about this? Because they know we're not filtering it. They know we're reaching tens and thousands, millions of veterans right now, 7 million veterans plus or minus through all of our modes. And we're getting their opinion. It's not what our organization feels like. So I think that, to me, is the game changer, because that's really going to make a difference with decision makers, because we're not just going to be an organization that's trying to push what they think. We're sharing with them in-time information, accurate information,
Right.
backed up by research and data. And that's fundamental.
Yeah. I mean, it's the easiest thing, right? The easy way to make decisions is two things. One, know what the problem is, and then make a plan to solve it. Right. And I think the thing we're learning is that we know there's problems, but we don't really know what the problems are. Right. And I know that from organizational view, that's why I love the team that we have, that you and I get to serve with every day inside of Mission Roll Call, because all of us are hungry to figure that out. No matter how long we're in this organization, we've always talked about nonprofits shouldn't exist for always, forever. Right. And if we do things right, it won't, because we've done our part. Okay, Jim, Valerie, guess what? Now we get to get into questions. Valerie, you're not off the hook, by the way. I'm sure there's probably going to be one or two questions that Val gets to answer, so I can't wait. So Nate and team, if you guys want to start the questions, I'm going to start with Imuko. I'm sorry if I said your name incorrectly, by the way. I do want to start with yours because it's the last one I just saw that popped up. Okay, it says, hello, thanks for the invite. I'm a veteran that uses part of my business to assist other veterans with their benefits. All of the bunts I'm running into now is waiting for their character to be upgraded before they can become available with any benefits. Do you all have any resources that I could pair with to help them? I write emails, make calls, and state reps and other advocates on their behalf. I love what I do and plan to continue. Enjoy your day, and I hope you have plans to continue. So the first thing, I'm kicking over to the team here to answer. The first thing I would say to you is reach out to us on email. If the team can put the contact us form in so that we can reach out and then kind of go back and forth to help guide you, right? There is a process when you start talking about veteran benefits and helping veterans with their benefits. There's a process that you want to use, right, to slow down some of these speed bumps, right? And that's the VA accrediting you for this. Like, there's a whole process, and we want to share that with you and make sure that you have what you need to be successful in whatever you're doing. Jim, any other thoughts from you on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important to make sure you're accredited. And Val also did a YouTube video on VA benefits that I would urge everyone that's listening to go over, because even those that have been doing this for a while, there was some great information in there to understand what your benefits are and some of the processes that you need to follow to do that. So share that with friends. We know, for example, there's 20,000 new veterans every year coming out of the services.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're learning this whole process all over again. So if we can be helpful with them, we want to be.
Yeah. Okay, great. So hopefully that helps, Muko, from your perspective. Okay. All right. Next question. Nate, you can just pick one, man. Throw it up there. Okay. Roger McKinley, United States Marine Corps. I have an at-risk youth always looking for volunteer opportunities. Is it possible mission roll call? If so, how? So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to kick this over to Val to answer, because we're talking about the volunteer program. And by the way, Val is working on like a really great way for us as an organization to support VSOs, MPOs through a platform that allows you to put your opportunities for volunteering and events so that you don't have to worry about paying the costs associated with that, and you put it back into veterans. But Val, I would love you just to kind of answer that question. Is there a process, or could we connect this person with somebody?
Yes. So yes,
Okay.
to both questions, we can connect somebody. We do have a platform that's going to go live here really soon called the Veteran Connection Network. And that's going to be a platform we're opening up to other nonprofits that are on our veteran resource directory. Some of these platforms can be pretty expensive.
Yeah.
And the smaller organizations don't have that in their budget. So we're opening it up so that they can list their events and their volunteer opportunities on this one platform to try to increase awareness and get more people out in the community doing great things.
I love it. I can't wait. If we could have it up tomorrow, Val, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Okay.
If she wasn't busy petting,
Petting Labradors, could have already had this up.
but it isn't. So.
I needed to pet those little puppies. I needed it too. They've been working hard all
They
week.
did. They absolutely did.
Yeah, well, I mean, between her and Tamir, like Tamir has a service dog, and like we see him at one of the events that we volunteered at, and he come walking up with his dog, and I'm like, okay, everybody keeps making me want. Jim, every time he gets on, he's got his dog laying in the background on its back. It's like, okay, I can see what's happening here.
I had to leave poor Gus and Hazel at home, and now I'm like, see, I could have brought them.
Yeah,
I just need them. I just need them to be trained puppies.
Oh,
They're not
boy.
well
I can't bring mine. It'd be all.
Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, all right. Next question, Nate, if we have one. Okay, Walter, thank you so much for being here as well. For those that are here, if you got questions, please continue to write them in. We'll take them for probably another 5 minutes or so. Is there something good for vets that our nation's leaders are working on that maybe you are backing? Man, that's a great question. Jim, I'll kind of kick that over to you. Is there anything that we're working on right now from your perspective that we can talk about? Because obviously, you know, part of what we do is through surveys, right? So we ask these survey questions, and then we kind of deliver these. I know right now we're very focused on the government shutdown portion pretty heavily, because that's a pretty big part of what we're doing. Is there any of the other bills or legislation that we are focused on that you can think of that would be important? HBOT, like some of these other areas?
Yeah, you know, all the above. You know, the challenge, I think, and it's a great question. The challenge is that it takes a long time. You remember that commercial song, how a bill becomes a law? Well, it takes a long time, and none of us are happy about that process. But there's a reason for that, so that it slows down, and we have time to think about it, and we calm emotions down to make sure it gets the right bill out there. The challenge is it takes too long. So we're working really hard an Access Act, which covers so much, will cover so many veterans. And I think the surveys made a big difference with that. Elected officials could see what veterans really wanted, how adamant they were. 80+% wanted more access to health care. And it took away the wind out of the sails out of some of those in Congress that were against access. So not to get political, but the vast majority of veterans want access to health care. There's some elected officials that don't want to do that for a myriad of reasons. But when we can show them the data of their own voters and their own constituents wanting that, it helps change minds and it helps people become more informed. And you always want to give people grace that maybe their decision has not, or their opinion has not been well formed because they haven't seen the facts. And that's what we're trying to do, is provide people facts. But there's a number of things. H-Bot, you mentioned, hyperbolic treatment is so important. And so we want that veterans can get that, but you got to give the facts. And that's what we've been doing with Mike in DC and meeting with people and sharing what we're hearing from our folks that are taking our polls. That's why it's so important. That's why it's important for us to reach every state, which we are. Our polls reach every state. The important thing is that you can imagine the difference if we had poll numbers of 1 million, right? And that would be really hard for us to do, just to get all those polls and aggregate all of them. But our voices are much stronger when the numbers go up. If you add zeros to the polling and to our voice, it truly does amplify and it gets people's attention. And that's why we're doing all these things.
Yeah. And Walter, I want to add a little bit more color to this. And Jim was talking a little bit through it. Part of what Mike Desmond does from his, and remember, we've got a small team of folks that are out here. So it's kind of interesting when you look at how hard we're working. And that's not to ask for sympathy at all, because we want to be doing this, right? It's more of just understanding as we grow and we continue to bring in funding and stuff, there's more focus. But part of what Mike Desmond's doing, and he replied in here, that's Mike D on the comments. Part of what he's doing is going out looking for these bills and legislation. So kind of looking ahead, right? Looking ahead to say, okay, here's all the things that involve veterans. Then we like to call it the crapshoot begins, right? Because now Mike's going through looking at each one of these things and then trying to figure out when are these things coming up on a docket. Then Mike comes in and goes, okay, hey, guys, I really want some support here. We need to get this on survey questions based off of what's coming so that when these things pop, right, we've got the survey data and we're handing it off. And what I can tell you is he's done a very, very good job of identifying that with Jim to then allow us now to have those survey questions primed and prepped, ready to hand whenever we go into it. So, there's a lot that goes into this, and this is the long game, right? We're not trying to force issues, right? All we're looking for is, hey, if we're going to have a conversation, all we're trying to do is help our leaders and those that make decisions have the facts and the experiences from you at the lowest level, because you're the ones that are dealing with the right veterans and the families and everybody else. Sometimes you can go to Google and search it, but that doesn't mean that the answer you get back on Google is the right answer, right? And I'm not saying that they do that 100% because that's not an accurate statement. That's just what we're trying to help them with. Hey, here's what we have. Do you need expansion on this? And if you do, what does that require, and what does that look like? So anyway, I just want to give props to obviously Mike for the work he does, and then of course Jim for that connectivity up there. Okay, what's the next question? Nate, what do we got? Nabil, is your funding getting cut with all the cuts happening? You do good work, it seems. Shame if no funds. Okay, Jim, I will kick that over to you.
Yeah, we don't get any funds from the federal or state government. We don't have any grants from the federal government. And that gives us the ability to be apolitical and not have to do work based on any one political party, regardless of whatever your political party is. We think that's important. Veterans make up the fabric of our country. They come from all walks of life. They have different political views. And so it's important for us not to have that. So we're not going to be affected by all, other than our workload will go up, because we're going to have to be able to, if it does shut down and veterans aren't getting the access it's not like we just stop work. We're now going to use that resource directory to try to help people and put stopgaps and plug the holes of the leaky boat so we don't sink here. So we're going to be very busy with that. What we do is we use the kindness of people that want to support us. If they want to send us a donation, we work with organizations that see the worth of what we're doing and want us to be apolitical, and then we accept resources from them. But all of our podcasts, all of our YouTube videos, all the things you see on LinkedIn and all the other digital social media platforms, we all do without any funding other than folks like you, fellow veterans or families, giving us whatever support they can. So hope that answers the question, but we're going to continue on, even if the lights go out up in DC.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, well, so thank you so much for that question. For anybody else, this will be the last question we asked for today. I am going to have the team, I'm going to ask for two things. Team, if you guys could post up the contact us form for everybody. For everybody watching, one of the things that we want, we believe that feedback, both good and bad, is important. Okay, so whether you like this or you don't like this, or you feel like we could be doing things better, this feedback form or the contact us form gives you the ability to provide that feedback to us. Okay, and it's on whatever it is. It could be the Lasting Mission podcast. It could be MRC University. It could be articles that we're writing. It could be this town hall, although I'm positive you guys love this. So you're not going to put that. I'm just kidding. So, but if there is feedback, please put that feedback on there, right? So that we have it. All right. One last question, Nate, and then we'll close it for today. All right, James D, do you offer grants for veterans, or does another group you work with offer small business grants for vets? James, this is a great question. I'm going to look at Val again because we want her to close this off with the last question. So Val, obviously, you may not know off the top of your head because you don't have the VRD right here in your fingertips. But do you think maybe we have James contact you and then see if we can find somebody inside of the Veteran Resource Directory to help?
Yes, absolutely. Reach out to us, send us an email, and I will try to connect you with a Veteran Resource Directory organization that offers some grants or would be able to help you with whatever process you're trying to get through.
Great. Yeah. Hope that helps, James. Like always, you guys can reach out to us. We'll answer. If it gets too much, I'll just send all the emails to Jim's email box.
Yeah,
so
you do that. It's a good
plan. Be perfect. All right. Just a refresh. Remember October 22nd. And I said October 22nd this time, proper. I was living in the past versus the future, obviously. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time versus 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. We thank all of you for being here. We can't amplify you without your voices. So please continue to join the organization, be part of it. Lend us your voice with a survey at the beginning of every month, right? Get our newsletter and trust us. You're going to know when these things are coming out. Jim, Valerie, thank you both so much for being here today. I know you're a very important conference for us internally because we get to meet a lot of the people that we serve, both veterans from a normal perspective, but also the MPOs and VSO, and also influencers that influence where the veteran kind of traditions and stuff go. I've noticed that, get a good influencer, man. All of a sudden people are holding signs and stuff all over the place. But I want to kick it over to you two. Do you have anything from your side or anything that you'd like to say? Val, we'll start with you.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Val.
Hopefully this is my one and done podcast. Yeah. Check it out. Feel free to leave comments that you didn't want me to come back.
I volunteered for this. I just did that.
Yeah, that's great.
Which is well received.
Happy to be here.
Happy to be here.
Loving that.
False motivation is better than no motivation.
Oh, this is great.
Other thing I would say, and one thing I've taken out from this military influencer conference and the questions that we've received and really what we've been doing over the last few months is that no one organization is going to solve all the problems.
That's right.
It really does take all of us to work together. If you think about it, anytime you went out on a ship or you launched an aircraft or you went out to the field, there were whole bunches of people that made those things happen for you to be able to put whatever it was you needed to put out on target, right? It takes a lot to do that. And it's the same thing with our community. We have to make sure that all of us are checking on each other, helping each other, finding organizations that we want to support and support them. It's important for us to do that. And I'm not saying to support Mission Roll Call, That's why we have all those resource directory.
Yeah.
There may be one there that you want to support, but support one of them, either with your time or sharing it with others or with sending a donation. Because at the end of the day, our service doesn't end. The day you left the Army or the Navy, Marines, Coast Guards, Air Force, that was not your last day of service. It was the beginning of a new chapter of service.
That's right.
So if we embark on the day with that in mind, I think we'll all do better.
Great. All right. Well, I think it's pretty. The comments are going off, Val, and it looks like you'll be back. And Roger, I resemble that remark. Basically said, "Great job, Val. Better looking than the guys on here." That offends. I mean, look at me. I'm beautiful.
That's
Roger.
a low
Okay?
bar.
I can't even. Whoa, Jim. Whoa. All right, everybody. Hey, thank you guys so much for coming out. We hope that this means something to you. It means something to us. Know that every single day when we wake up, we're doing everything we can to support you guys as much as possible. Unless we're PTOing or we're off or something, then I don't want to do it. But we do literally wake up in the middle of the night thinking about ways to support you and help you. So thank you for your service. If you're a family member, thank you for allowing us to borrow your spouse or your loved one. We'll look forward to seeing you guys next month on October 22nd. See you guys later. Good job, Val.